Okay, so the two main aims of this final kind of section today is to talk about knitr and R Markdown and how we can create documents that sort of you can weave in graphs and tables and analyses. And finally, Project Template, which is a tool for organizing all your code and scripts in a really nice, reproducible way that I just love it. It just makes you can get started with analyses quickly, get started with a new project quickly, and everything's in the right place, and it all just works. So first of all, let's talk about knitr and R Markdown. In general, when you're doing analyses, you're often wanting to create some sort of document that you've got to get some content into, some graphs, some tables, some text. Sometimes it's very informal and it's just for your own kind of exploration purposes. Other times it's something more reportable. So in general, we want to encourage a reproducible workflow where the scripting is there that can automatically take your data, create new variables, produce the plots and tables in some sort of one-click process. I think that's a really nice thing that R enables. So yeah, the general idea of that is to encourage more accuracy, allows you to check things later on, allows people to verify, and allows you to, I don't know, look back and see what you've actually done. So in R, traditionally there was something called SWeave. Does anyone here use LaTeX? All right, so if you're a LaTeX person, SWeave was set up for you. It was really designed to incorporate graphs and tables into the kind of documents you create if you create academic journal articles or books, and you are a statistician or in one of those mathematical fields where they tend to use LaTeX. If you've never used LaTeX, probably now's not the time to talk too much about it. But I'm going to be talking more about Markdown and what it can do as a simple markup format for creating easy reports that integrate some formatted tables and text and information with some graphs and plots. Both are sort of a lightweight way to document your analyses, but also potentially as something you can share with others. You've got a handout that describes a cheat sheet for R Markdown. So that's this cheat sheet. It's a nice little process for creating an R Markdown file, describing what output format. This thing on the right shows you what different little markup does when you compile a document. So if you want to create a heading, you add a little hash tag, you can have dot points and so on. So that's the kind of document side of R Markdown. It's a way of interspersing, written commentary or headings and so on. Then we have these things called code blocks, which we've been working with all day, which you can put your code into, and when you run the document, you will get something that combines the formatted text and the analyses. That's all very well and abstract. Let's actually look at an example of an R Markdown document. So I'm now going to go into the project examples folder, and I'm going to work through a couple of these. To start with, I'm going to use the R Markdown example rproj. So I'll probably just get rid of the old one. So I'm going to use R Markdown example rproj. Okay, so I'm in this file called 01multipleregression.rmd. So this is an R Markdown document. At the very top, it's got exactly what the cheat sheet says I should put into it. It's this little bit up here, which is going to be used. It says the output format, the author, and the title. Then we've got some heading information, some text, some dot points, some numbered points, some bolded text, some hyperlinks, and so on. So to show you what that looks like, if we click the knit HTML button here, it'll go blah, 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 blah. That's what the HTML document looks like. So the hash, something is converted to a level 1 heading, double hash, level 2 heading, the dot points converted to dot points, the number points, and so on. So this is just a very lightweight language. If you ever use Wikipedia or Stack Overflow or GitHub, this language or markup format is really lightweight and it's really nice for just, doing some basic reporting. But even better is that you can intersperse our code. So we have our code chunks where we've got things like we can import some data, and then we can insert these chunks by going code insert chunk. The chunks begin with a triple backtick, a brace, an R, and a brace, and then end in triple backtick. It's a bit obscure, but the idea is you're never going to type that into your document, so you're never going to accidentally create an R code chunk. You can also specify options about whether to print various things or not. You can run code chunks by going run current chunk. And you could run this right here, so I can see how many cars are in this data set, describe it, and so on. However, when you knit this document, what happens is that information gets incorporated into the output. So you can see the code and you can see the output. So that's like almost a complete report of what I've done. It's got the code and then the output displayed. You can also include plots and they'll get printed into this document. You can also modify this to, I think you can have, is it Word document? Let's see if that's right. Knit Word. And there you go. You've got a Word document that you could share with people. It's not the most pretty, it's the pretty raw format, and you can certainly explore ways of exporting tables that are a bit more pretty. But yeah, that's the basic idea with knitr. In general, I probably use it most just to kind of record my analyses. So it's a way of just keeping track of things and putting all your kind of code in various places. So it can be a way of doing that in an organized way. And if you want to compile it to something and share with people, you can. But certainly you can get into more detail where you hide various chunks, don't show the code, just show the plots, and various things. So there's options like that. So the general workflow with R Markdown is you create an R Markdown document. So you can go to File, New, R Markdown. And it gives you a little bit of a baseline to work with. You save that document, add any stuff, and there you go. You can create an integrated document. This gets even more powerful if you have to do like batch reports. So if you're creating a report every month, you can do this by a small tweak of the first line. Or if you were writing personality reports and you had to have a custom report for one for 100 people, it'd be pretty. There's a little bit of tweaking, but you could certainly call this programmatically and say loop it over each case or something like that. So there's many use cases for this beyond just documenting your analyses. I guess my suggestion now is just to give it a go. See if you can. Let me see. Create a new folder on your computer. Create a Markdown file. Maybe get a little data, and see if you can intersperse a little Markdown and tables and figures. So yeah. Alrighty, so it seems like a lot of people were creating Markdown documents, and hopefully that gives you a flavour of one way of working with R. The general idea is that in that very first code chunk, you'd probably do kind of all your importing and data manipulations, pull in any data, create any new variables. They all go in the first code chunk, and then that way you're minimizing the dependencies. Because if you start creating new variables in subcode chunks, you might forget whether they're still there, and you get a lot of ordered things. So generally I try and put all the loading and data manipulation stuff in the first one, and then you can sort of explore. There is a latex sleeve example in there. I probably won't go through that, but if you're interested in knowing how to combine, to create academic PDFs, you can certainly do that and create nice typeset academic articles.